are live. Sound issues from last episode should be fixed. We are feeling good. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see our usual crew. Jason is in the house. Mike Connors, awesome. Gabe Lopez, Zooch, Gerald Masucci. Where's your partner in crime from a small little corner of Connecticut, C-Dub? And Mike Goodwin from Alaska. Great to see everybody this morning. Let's look at plays. First, let's do this. We can turn that off. Okay, looking forward to a good show. A little more experience with the new technology, and I think we have our sound issues fixed. If there's any issue along the way, let me know. I am a little more versatile and able to fix things now. Chris Janish has changed his photo. All right. Good to see you, Chris. Fred Thompson from Florida, I believe, if I recall correct. EK is in the house. Great to see everybody, right? So we're going to look at plays. Super excited about that, as always. So NBA draft was last night. Again, as we talked about on Wednesday, it was a stressful time for me with the Golden State Warriors with 2 lottery picks. Pretty happy. I thought it went according to what I expected. Young talent. I think the Warriors are going to have a great JV team, right? Santa Cruz is about a 90-minute drive from my house here where their G League affiliate plays, and I think there's going to be some must-see action down there as Wiseman, I think, will spend some time in the G League, slow roll-up, and then, of course, their number 7 pick, Jonathan Kuminga, super raw, probably going to get very little playing time during the season. So now we move to free agency, and I'm super excited. If you've got some results from the draft that surprised you or what have you, I think if Giddey was available at 7, if Oklahoma had gone with Kuminga, I think Giddey would have been the choice. That was sort of a surprise, but Marcel, my new best friend, has season tickets to the Sea Doves. Awesome. Awesome. It should be some good times down there. It should be. Especially if Mannion comes back, he might spend some time down there working with the young guys, facilitating. He's had a great run with the Italian team. So we love our team, right? Love the Warriors. Been a long-time fan, even when they were super suck back in the 2000s, etc. They were terrible, the worst franchise in basketball. And I'll never forget when Joe Lacob bought the team in his introductory press conference. He's saying, "Yeah, it's all about bringing a championship to Golden State." And I was like, "Dude, this is the Warriors. Come on, man!" Incredible. Steve DePalma, not a fan of the Westbrook to the Lakers. Yeah, a lot of questions with the Lakers going forward. How they work everything out. Be really intriguing. And of course, now it's free agency season, and that's going to be super intriguing for the Warriors. Last year, they were poised to sign some win-now veterans at the veteran minimum and mid-level exception. But Clay got hurt on draft night, and everybody else, people who were going to come said, I don't think it's going to happen for you this year. So hopefully it's all about Clay being healthy and the team coming together. Billy Mack, Gus is on watering duty in the backyard, and the cat is on pause. The fit with LeBron and Westbrook is going to be extremely intriguing. Let's put it that way. Extremely intriguing. Marcel got those tickets to the Dubs. Excellent. Tony Dye once again in the building. Awesome. Everybody's here. We want to look at plays. Come on, let's look at game video and get better as basketball officials. Man, that's the number one way. All right. Cool. All right. So let's take a quick rundown. Also in the chat, let me know. Sound should be, the volume levels should be up from last time. Video quality, etc. Everything should be absolutely 100%. That would be my understanding here. All right, let's take a look at a rundown of our future live streams. Every Wednesday, basketball rules experts, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. We look at play scenarios, rules-based, National Federation of High School Basketball Rules, looking for the correct adjudication of the play in written play scenarios. Every Friday, 5 Play Friday Live, we look at game video, analyze, break down, correct official, make the call correct, factors we need to consider, behavior, demeanor of the officials, what can we take, what are the positives that we can take, just absorb from plays, what are the negatives that we can identify and say, that's a thing, that's a negative thing, and I need to make sure that's not in my game. And then a Masterclass Monday, our next one will be August 2nd, next Monday. Still TBD. Since I have additional presentation capability, I want to make sure we go the right path. So tune in Monday for a Masterclass Monday. All right. Give me just a second here. Yeah. If you're new to the show, put new in the chat. Let me know where in the country you officiate from. And I'd be pleased to meet you. If you're new to the show, if you're new to the channel, my name is Greg Austin with abetterofficial.com, where we craft video to help basketball officials get better. This show is all a part of that process of analyzing game video, getting better as basketball officials. And of course, as you are all very comfortable, if you have something on a play, a comment, a consideration, an issue, a rules reference, jump in the chat, put your voice in the game so we can all get better together. Okay, tremendous. Billy Mack is going to prison on Monday. That's okay. All right. So, yeah. Sure, there's a story there. EK, I appreciate the feedback. I did solve that issue. Danny says Buddy Hield would have made more sense. Happy for Westbrook. Okay. I'm not a big Russell Westbrook fan, but he's sort of in the later part of his career with his athleticism waning. See what happens in LA. See what happens in LA, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with Buddy Hield as well. All right. Tremendous. Yes, Mike, Italian villa prices are it's a ridiculous market. Let's just put it that way. Actually, whenever there's a reference to an Italian villa, I always think of The Godfather, when Michael goes back to Italy to lay low and his bride gets killed in the explosion. It's like, that's what I think. And I'm sorry, Billy Mack, that reference wasn't of a film that was made earlier, but that's pretty old. Tony Dye and Danny, excellent. Our Cleveland contingent. Cleveland, Evan Mobley in the draft. He's going to be a fantastic player. I don't see him as a 5. I think they're going to move him to a 4, and he's going to be a dynamic unicorn, as they say. So our Cleveland contingent. Merciful heavens. All right. I'm going to move there. Like and subscribe. 5 Play Friday. Give me a second here. Get my show order in order. Okay. All right, let me start the show. Okay, I'm going to go there. So I turn to the coach and I say, whoa, coach. I hear you. But let's look at plays. Stick around. Greetings and welcome back to another episode of 5 Play Friday, the show where we take a look at plays, video breakdown, analysis, see what we can take from the play, positive, negative, using National Federation of High School basketball rules. We're looking at positioning of the officials. We're looking at did the correct official make the correct call? We're looking for the habits displayed by the crew. What are the positives? What are the negatives? Things that need to be improved upon, etc. Greetings again, everybody. My name is Greg Austin with abetterofficial.com. We craft video to help basketball officials get better and take control of their officiating career. Now would be a great time, if you haven't already, to hit like, subscribe, and notify so you don't miss out on any of our new content, including live streams every Wednesday and Friday, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. Have to always, all right, as always, have to give a heartfelt thank you and shout out to our channel supporters, without whom the show would not happen. We've got Adam Fulmore, John Terzer and his cat, Darwin Sonata, Wezata Results, and Chris Hirano. Much appreciated and much love. If you want to support the show, you can always buy us a coffee. There'll be a link in the show notes below. All right, fantastic. Just a second. That's better. All right. Mike Connor's Godfather 2, Better Than 1. Both good. Both good. Godfather 2 is excellent. Trey Cooper, a Cade Cunningham fan. Super interesting to see what happens in Detroit. They've got a great young core. Yeah, good stuff. A great injection of talent into the NBA. So that was super exciting. Oh, Callie, we've got a fan. We've got a fan in a small little corner of Connecticut. Callie the cat, big fan of 5 Play Friday. More action than that text-based rules stuff on Wednesdays. Awesome. Mike, great to see you. All right. So let me put that down. All right, so today we're going to look at plays. We're going to look at some plays. I've unearthed some video from 5 or 6 years ago, a game that I worked, and we're looking at play analysis. When we get our game video and analyze our game video, right, we can clip plays, which I'm a big fan of, right? If you are a young official, first of all, you must get your game video. That is absolutely essential. And then utilize the game video successfully. So I'm going to utilize the game video. I'm going to look at plays, analyze what I'm doing on the court. But we also want to clip plays, right? Then I consider it to be currency among basketball officials. I can share that video clip with my mentor and say, I had this play. What do you think about my behavior here? What have you? I can share this clip with a small group of officials who are my cohort. Maybe I developed a cohort of officials. We share our plays between each other and get opinions and, use that as a sounding board, etc. Sort of a mini mentor group, even though the experience level of the group may not be the highest, right? That group can say, hey, we're going to all get better together. Here's what I know about this. Here's what I know about that. And they can learn and process those plays together. And then you can always share the video on other platforms within Facebook groups, etc., helping a larger group of officials. You're going to get more feedback, and it's going to be varied. But clipping plays, you have a currency that you can exchange with others and get feedback and gain value as well. So, big fan, you must get your game video. You must learn how to clip plays, share plays as appropriate with others, and use that in a fashion that can help you get better. All right, with that, let's look at our very first play. So these plays will be varied today, varied group of plays, a potpourri, as we like to say, and we will see what we can take from them. Let's look now at play number one. Right? So the first thing that we notice, or should notice, is where we are in the game, right? The game has just started. We're 1 minute and 40 seconds into the game. This is the first foul of the game, right? What we want to see is, well, did the correct official make the call? Was there a reason why we doubled? Was it necessary to double, etc.? Things like that. So you could say, look, so the game just started, right? Are the officials into the game? Are they into the rhythm of the game? Are they comfortable with their primary, etc., what the teams are doing? Probably this is a time of the game where we're a little vulnerable to a breakdown in our crew mechanics, etc. So if this guy would get out of the way, let's see. Oh, I got you. Right? So if we look back, the center, or the trail official, has the on-ball matchup. Let's see if I can bring in. Don't have my arrow. No problem. No problem. So the trail official has the on-ball matchup here, going towards the lead official, but it still belongs to the trail. But is aware of the off-ball action. Maybe the lead picked that up when the player backed out. But we have a double whistle, right? One official signals quickly, the other official holds, right? Although if you read the body language, you know what he has, right? Center official holds, right? Says you got it, you take it, etc. Gray area play, right? The trail official was responsible for on-ball matchup. And the call is for the extension and displacement, right? At the point where the offensive player puts two hands on the defender, right? At that point, we have nothing but the extension and push away, causing the player go down. We have a team control foul by rule. And of course, we want to identify these as team control fouls early and often. Okay. I'm going to have to do some things here. Give me just a second. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're getting better at the process. All right. Fred, right in no man's land. Yeah, I mean, anybody could get this, right? Depending on how the trail and the lead, it's a little unclear here how they had negotiated the coverage on the on-ball matchup, whether the lead had picked it up, whether the trail had given it up, etc., is a big factor in this situation. But anybody on the crew can get this play. Last year's signal, yes, this game is probably 5 years ago. Yes, you can tell because the center is relatively slim. You know, I would not say this is an intentional foul. It's not excessive. The player was off balance. The player pushed, the offensive player pushed off to create space, right? Obvious foul, but the result of the foul, I think, is more due to the fact that the defensive player was off balance to start. Yeah, so I mean, you want to, especially if you're reaching, right? Was this in the center's primary? No. Was it in the center's secondary? Yes. Right? We need to be aware of double whistles and hold. What's the rush? What's the rush? Right? What do we know? We know that leads go quick. That's the universal rule. If plays are coming at the lead, they go quick. Right? If we are going to have a double whistle in that scenario, the outside official must hold. Just hold. Don't get into a reactive up, pop, boom, or whatever, right? As a habit. We want to be able to put a whistle on a play, hold, and go from there. We love the patient. Yeah. So once we recognize we have a double whistle, now obviously the trail goes quick, right? So it's not like, no, I'm going to take that, right? You go for it, right? All good. All good. Yeah. It is dangerous to go quick, right? Because at some point along the way, that's going to bite you. And then you need to know how to adjudicate a double foul, a large scenario, which we need to know how to do that. But, since the proximity was there, the trail rather may have felt, look, this is here, this is obvious, this is my play, we're going to go, right? But also, let's recognize we're less than 2 minutes into the game. So we don't have any context for what we've had, what we haven't had, how our crew is working together, right? We're still sort of in this first couple of minutes you're on the court, you've got a great game plan, right? Our pregame was fantastic. But until you get out on the court and are in the environment and are seeing the players and what the teams are doing and how your table is behaving and the coaches' early energy and the dynamic of the game itself, right? Until we get that, we're not truly into the game yet, right? So we're recognizing we're a couple minutes into the game, and it is what it is. Yeah, I agree. Good communication. We've got the center, like, you got offense, great. Yeah, great call, right? I concur, right? Put that there. Cool. Excellent, Gabe. Excellent. It is excellent we want to be able to be a purist, and we want to be able to not be a purist. Right. So Billy Mack, slightly disagree. This is an obvious foul that has to be called, even if it's seen out of the corner of the eye, right? That's a great point. We need to put a whistle on this play. It's an obvious foul. Any of the officials on the crew can put a whistle on the play. But if we have to recognize that if we have an obvious foul out of the corner of our eye, and we know we can recognize it as an obvious foul, we have to recognize that our crew is going to recognize that as well. So if we are in a position of weakness where I'm focusing on this, but I can tell that this happened out of my peripheral, we don't necessarily have to have the urgency on that, right? Yeah, let's say there was no whistle from either official. The trail could come much later with a whistle here on this play. This is an obvious foul. We are going to put a whistle on this play. Anybody can come with a wide variety of timing. That would be my feeling on the play. We're going to put a whistle on this play. Mike Connors calling out the center. Discipline. Fair point. Well, all right. So Billy Mack says first 4 minutes are tough, especially if we're moving between genders. I had a boys game and now I have a girls game the next night. Or we're working a double header where there's a girls varsity and then boys varsity. Or this crew, two of the officials here do NCAA women. They had an NCAA women's game last night, and now they have a high school game tonight. And making that transition. All of those things are hard, and that's really is an important part of the early part of a game, is getting our bearings, right? If we have a personal pregame, right, I got to remember, okay, NCAA women, all right, so that was yesterday. High school, right, count towards the thrower, right? The three-point signal is this. Our throw-in spots are this. Our rules differences are this, that. You can have that personal pregame, but then once you get out on the court, we do have to settle in with that. And that's a challenging time and one we have to recognize as basketball officials taking the court. All right, let's move on to play number 2. Give me just a second here. I want to put that there. Go there. Oh, come on, man. All right, so a simple hand check play. Looks like if we get a glimpse of the scoreboard, looks like early second period. Don't have team fouls up there, right? So center makes a choice to put a whistle on the arm bar at the free throw line, as opposed to letting the play develop, which may have gotten the player to the basket. But we see the initial, okay, I see. Loop. Let's go there. All right. So the initial foul, we have rhythm, speed, and balance, quickness on the ball handler. Right here, right, we have that shove that causes the player to lean forward, etc. This would rise to the level of a foul. Now you could say, right, we're going to see what happens next. Maybe we can get that player to the line. We maybe still be thinking we're cleaning things up here in the early going. Maybe there's a consistency issue. That same play was called at the other end, etc. But in any event, that is a foul for the armbar push on the ball handler. But let's also look at the behavior of the official, right? Indicating there is no shot, pointing to the end line, very clear designation of the resulting spot. We have to be clear about that because our crew needs to know what to do next, right? So now we've moved into, so this play has a couple of parts. One is the veracity of the call, whether it was appropriate, and the other is what happens next and knowing what happens next and the behaviors of the officials, right? So let's take a look at that. So the clear designated of the spot. So you're the center official or you're the old trail table side. You know you're going to be the new trail opposite the table, right? Behavior as we move, observing players as the new trail. Everybody's good, solid crew. This is a really good crew, really good crew. But also when we report, we want to know where we are going to go next. I see so many officials here, they run to the table and then have to make the position adjust back to their new position as center, table side, right? So if we come to the reporting area and know what happens next, know you're responsible for the substitutes, etc. Much more polished, much more confidence displayed. Everybody in the building says, well, I didn't like the call, but he clearly knows what he's doing, right? And the stakeholders in the game want officials to be confident, assured, and polished. It makes them feel better about everything. All right, I'm going to go here. Let me set this to loop. A couple of tweaks. Oh, Tony's going to say play on, right? So that's definitely an option on this play, right? That player maybe can get to the basket. If we're saying rhythm, speed, balance, quickness, right? The smaller player gets bent over, just like a rebounding situation when a taller player leans on with a forearm and causes the smaller player to bend over. We have to make a judgment about whether that, that contact had the effect, right? So we could definitely have a play on this. I don't remember what our hand checking point of emphasis was in this season, but yeah, Randy wants to let it go as well. I appreciate that 100%. 100%. If we do let that go, we have to remember that, of course, though, at the other end, that we are allowing that activity to occur in the game. We have to have that consistency. We can't have a no call down here and then on a similar play at the other end have a call, right? So we need that consistency. Gabe likes the setting the tone, right? Mike would prefer a cleanup early. Awesome. Danny doesn't like it. Yep. I don't remember the, yeah. Chris Janish doesn't like it. Hey, Mike, yeah. There's no issue with calling anybody out. If there's something about a play, right? Let's just have an honest conversation, right? That official did that wrong. I don't like this call, right? Like several people on this play, I don't like that call. It interrupted the game, took away the basket, et cetera, et cetera. That's one of the things, though, about National Federation of High School. When they say hand checking is a big deal and we want it called and we want, right? And you say, well, there are plays where we could just let it go. We don't have to have a whistle, right? So that's all part of the discussion. But again, if we're going to put a whistle on this play, we have to put a whistle on a similar play at the other end. Billy Mack wanted a more emphatic wipe off. Yep. Well, we just want to make sure that it's understood. Yeah. So Billy Mack says clean up, right? So that's our double-edged sword. We have officials who say, "Oh man, we want to let that go. That's a game interrupter. You took away the basket. All of these things." Now, my dial is usually set to be more patient on these plays and allow them to happen. But then we have another group to say, "No, you got to call that. We have to call that. That's a foul." And if right? So there's our dilemma. Now, let's recognize a situation where those two officials may be working the game together. How are we going to handle the game tonight? That's what we have to determine. And no, we're going to put a whistle on every play that does that over here, or no, we're going to let that go over here. And then we have inconsistency as a crew. And then the game suffers as a result. The stakeholders in the game say, what? Right? So that's what this reveals is this kind of play. We need to have crew consistency. Billy Mack, give me just a second. All right. We need to have crew consistency. And Billy Mack, you are right. That is why we get paid the incredibly large amounts to officiate high school basketball. All right. EK's setting the tone. He's with me. All right, let's look at our next play scenario. All right, so obvious displacement foul. Now, a great point, a great opportunity to look at discipline, right? And transferring eyes and rebounding responsibility and all of these things. Okay. Loop. Play. Right, so let's look at where are the players on the court. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 3, right? So 7 are in the or close to the lead's primary coverage area, right? So we have to be aware of this player in the corner. We have to be aware of what may happen next. But then we have the release of a try, right? When we do, we have to start to identify who are the players who are in a competitive matchup in a rebounding situation. If we had a pair of players who are under the basket and they are engaged, possibly, doing some hand fighting for position, etc., we have to be aware of those players, but we also have to be aware of what I call party crashers, is the players from the outside coming in, and identify those. So we have two players, moving, two teammates of the player who released the try, coming in to attempt to gain a rebound. We have displacement, etc. So very slow whistle on this play by the lead, which I think is appropriate. It's like the center has basically nothing going on. It's like, give them first crack at this. They have a better, if you think about it, the lead has sort of a straight line look, even though it's obvious what happened. So a patient whistle on this play, but a whistle on the obvious foul. Center official followed the ball, was not engaged with that rebounding action. Right? Straightforward. Let me do this. Jonathan Lamattina in the house. Yeah, we would expect the center to have a whistle on this play, right? But as lead, that's an obvious foul. No? Okay, I'll put a whistle on the play. That's our thinking, right? We don't know who had how many calls to this point. Now, obviously, all the calls in our video clips have all been that official, that one making the call, right? Yeah, we want the center to have an official, to have a whistle on this play. But as an official, one of the other officials, right, either trail or lead on this play. Great advice given to me early in my career by a fantastic official, Shelley Russey, NCAA Division I official, Shelley Russey, said that here's what's going on in her head. Well, that's a foul. You're going to call it? No? Boom. Right? That's the timing. That's a foul. It's your call? No? Boom. Right? If we have that going on in our head, or the timing, if we can mimic that timing, then we have an excellent timing with our whistle. W, C, 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 or L, two-person Connecticut. I don't know about asleep at the switch. Just didn't have that. So in a two-person game, right, if our center and our lead were the only two officials, then we'd have a situation where we've got a three-point try from a gray area. Who was officiating that play? That would be a great thing to look at. So if this was a two-person game, let's say this trail was not here, and we have a three-point try from basically the free throw line extended. Who is officiating the shooter? We would have to have that worked out between the crew. And then, if after you've officiated the shooter, you need to transfer your eyes to rebounding action. Now, the deal, right, is this was an uncontested three, but the deal is, hey, I'm going to officiate this shooter up, down, and a little bit more, and I'm going to leave rebounding action to you. If we've got two officials who are of that mindset, and they're both officiating that play, then we can have issues. So that's a great thing to realize. So then both officials would say, well, I'm staying with the shooter up, down, and beyond. Again, in this instance, not a competitive action at the shooter. But I'm going to spend time there, and then I'm going to shift my action. We wouldn't want to miss this. And this could be the corner out of the corner of the eye play. We can put things together, and we can see the displacement. But that's a great point about in a two-person game how this could go. And what you'll see in many, many instances is in a gray area play, in a two-person game, both officials are officiating the shot and the defender. They have not successfully negotiated in a gray area play, bringing their pregame onto the court, not successfully negotiated. So that can definitely be a thing. Yep. So Chris, so we break down our game video and we see, and I'm the center on this play, and I see, what was I thinking? What was I, was I still being aware of the shooter? Was there something at the top of the key that I was officiating? Why did I not have a whistle on this play? Right? Those are the things we want to examine. Where was my head? What was I looking at? Etc. And that's how we look at our game video and get better. On this play, I should have had a whistle. On this play, I did not have a whistle. Why did I not have a whistle? What was I looking at? Why was I looking there, etc., and not looking here? Why was my body, closed, or my head position weak? That's why we look at game video, so we can find these things in our game and get better. Great point. Great point. The Zooch, did the contact affect the play, right? Did the contact affect the play? I think as we'll see in, you could say, well, that player was not going to get the rebound anyway. You could say that. No way that Mike Connors is going to let that go, though. Zooch and Mike Connors are going to have to work this one out, right? Yeah, this small player for blue is taking the brunt of the action here. Good point, Randy. Good point. Hey, Al, haven't missed much? You can always watch on the DVR function. Let me know in the chat if that works. Like if you you can join live, but you can also replay. You can join live and watch live, but go back in time. That function should be turned on. So Zooch says, look at where the ball goes, long bounce away from the basket. Neither of those players were able to rebound the ball, right? Definitely a part of my thinking when the right team gets the ball and the contact maybe is less obvious or less impactful, right? So we have to, that's going to factor in, like, let's say there was modest displacement on this play and the player didn't, buckle over and lose her balance, but just got moved, right? Then it's like that is incidental contact because it had no bearing on the result of the rebound. Definitely a factor and definitely something that we have to resolve as a crew, how we're going to officiate those plays tonight, right? So these plays have brought up many things that we can add to our pregame discussion about how we're going to be consistent about plays, right? The hand checking play and now a rebounding play, and being able to successfully navigate that, bringing all the points of emphasis and what our assigners want into the game, and also all the dynamics of the crew, right? I've got an official on the crew who's no blood, no foul, right? That's his mindset. He's on the crew. That's his mindset. What are we going to do? Am I going to fight him? And just like I'm going to put, subtle hand checking fouls and he's going to let incredible things go, right? We need to find the medium, the balancing point so we can be consistent as a crew, right? So another great, how we're going to handle some rebounding things, something we could add to our pregame. Yep, that's definitely a factor. It's just like this is going to lead to retaliation if we don't clean that up. But that's exactly how we're going to have to resolve things as a crew. Mike Connor's is going to say put a whistle on that play. I was going to say, Chris, you scared me. I thought, oh, the sound is on these videos? No. Yeah, exactly. Someone's going to get hurt if we don't have a whistle. Yeah, exactly. Or the coach is going to say, you got to protect my players. Somebody's going to get hurt out there, right? And it's always such a dig. Like we're not looking out for player safety when that happens. So not a fan of that. The Zooch, if Team B is in the bonus, then do we shoot free throws? Well, let's see. Do we have an absence of team control? Right? When White released the try for goal, there was no longer team control. So indeed, Zooch, we would have bonus free throws. Again, we look at the clock on the wall. Looks like we've just started the second period. Guess we weren't there. All right, cool. Let's take a look at another play. Excellent play, right? So we have a drive to the basket, a C-side drive. In three-person mechanics, again, what are we going to do? We're going to pregame how we're going to handle C-side drives and just reinforce what we have on the play, who has the responsibility for the primary defender, etc., right? So on this play, we have a C-side drive. The primary defender on this play belongs to the center official. What is the lead going to officiate? Lead is going to officiate and look for a secondary defender who comes to help on the play. We also have this defender in the corner who is a secondary defender, adding complexity to the play. Who's going to officiate that player? Right? So we have a body contact by the primary defender, looks like white 10, knocking the player off. So that's our foul. But we also have front side action by a secondary defender that the center official could not see. We could have a rake on the arm if we did not have the bump, right? Adding complexity to this play, who would then be responsible for that whistle? And then we've got two secondary defenders here who don't even seem to be aware of what's going on in the play. Right, so nobody else is actively involved. Center has a whistle. We see the lead, right? A little bit, right? Where are we? We are in the fourth period, right? So we would want to have all the kinks worked out, and we're functioning well as a crew, discipline, solid. Now, if we also look at the score, 55-27, White is ahead. 55-27, fourth period. We do not want to miss any fouls by White in this situation. Mike Connors, correct. We don't want to miss any fouls ever. But in this situation especially. All right, so let's watch the movement of the center official. Right? Before the ball is received by the player in their primary, they're already positioning adjust so that on the catch, they have an open look at the defender on the play. That's the habit we want to see. Ball is in flight, official moving. So when the ball is caught, we have the look on the play. Open look. Player drives to their left. The official moves to the right so that an open look can be obtained between the players. If the official, instead of moving right, moved left, then the look remains closed, right? Basics. Okay, I like it. Great call, ref. Paul, I don't know if they did have a call on the secondary defender or not, or whether they just reacted to the primary defender. We could have a double whistle, but again, this is a discipline play. If we're talking about the contact by the primary defender, that's our crew trust. So here, I'm the center official. No, I'm the lead official. I trust you to stay with that play all the way to the basket. That is your play. I trust you to officiate that play. Now I'm the center official. I will have that play all the way to the basket, but I trust you, if you see an obvious foul, that you will put a whistle on the play. It's a two-way street. It's not just like the crew says, look, dude, you've got the play all the way. I trust whatever you have. Yeah, I saw an obvious foul, but you've got the play and I trust. It doesn't work like that. It's a mutual trust as a crew and a commitment of the crew to get things right. But Paul brings up the great point about this play is that secondary defender. And we can have something there. There was a rake, and maybe there was contact there, and that's what the lead official was reacting to. Now, obviously, they pulled back. Yeah, all good. All good. I love it. I love plays like that. And again, are we going to pregame center side drives and what we want and trust as a crew, right? So that's the other thing is when we do our pregames, right? If we talk about specific scenarios, hey, center side drive. I've got primary defender all the way to the basket. You've got secondary defenders. Hey, let's talk about if the defender comes from the outside. Let's talk about trust. I've got that play all the way to the basket. But if you see something on the front side that I can't see, right? My look ends up being closed and you see that obvious foul, put a whistle on the play. Let's get plays right. Let's reinforce. We are here to get plays right, egos, etc., etc. So we talk about a specific play in a pregame, and we can start to get to more general concepts and reinforce those, right? Yeah. So if we did have a double whistle, we want to, all things being equal, we want to work the system, right? And this, again, something we talk about in the pregame. We have a double whistle. The official who's had the primary responsibility on the play should take the play. Unless, let's say that official had 3 calls consecutively against that team, right? Had just called, his last 3 calls have been against white. Lead official might say, I'm going to double that. I got it, partner, and go take the call just to ease the pressure. That's certainly on the table of how we can be effective as a crew. Want to keep that in our pocket, right? So what I like to say is all things being equal. All things being equal, the official who should make the call or should take it to the table. But if all things are not equal, the last 2 call, the last call went against that team, was not well received, etc. We have an opportunity to potentially take some pressure off the crew by taking some pressure off one of the crew members and have a slight deviation. Keep it in your back pocket. All right, let's talk about this play. Paul likes the lead on this. I do too. I do too. And positioning by the center on this play is a really important part of the play. Position adjust to receive the play, position adjust when the player went left. If we have those habits built into our game, we're going to have the best possible look, the most open look on plays, and be in the best position. If we're in good position, we're better officials. If we're in bad position, not so much. Yeah, these are plays that I clipped, and since I was a calling official, I could share them and feel much more comfortable about that. I did not make all the calls for this crew on this game. Paul, if the lead did have a double, maybe a cadence whistle on that secondary defender, maybe. I could see if you saw a rake on the play, right? You could come with a quick whistle, but if we saw a rake on the play, we don't need to come quick. We're going to put a whistle on the play. So that would be something to discuss or, have a strategy about as a crew. Mike with the fundamental, excellent. Whoa. Mac and cheesy. Yeah, obvious foul, but it brings about a number of things that are fundamental to our work as a crew, our pregame, our discipline, our habits, and fundamentals. And that's what we want to jump off the video when we look at plays. Exhibited great habit, great habit, great habit. Great fundamental, great fundamental, great fundamental. Great habit, lacking on this habit, right? Area for improvement. Add that to the list. Part of our plan going forward when we work our next ball game. Gabe is in game management mode, right? Like what I like to say is we don't want to miss anything by white. We don't need to make stuff up. We don't want to miss anything by white. Alfred, if we did have a whistle, let's say the lead had that rake by the outside defender, what happened first would be the question. We could come together. The game situation here would say we're not going to spend much time talking this one through. But if imagine a star player with 4 fouls. Oh my God, did he say it? Star player with 4 fouls is the player from the outside, right? The scrub from the bench is the player on the primary defender on the play. How are we going to adjudicate that play? Is that can we think like that? I like it, Paul. Yeah, that's a great point, Danny. It is easy to get disengaged, but we've got, the way I like to explain it is the voyage is coming to an end, right? This game is decided. All we have to do is get the ship into port, right? Just guide it in, guide it in, guide it in, safe. Everything's great. That's the part of the game that we're in here. Don't want to disengage. No. What, that can really ruin what has been, a successful game to that point. Trust the system. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't think we had a second whistle on this play. All right. I like it. Let's see what else we have from this game. There's nothing on this play, but the scenario that it brings up is that I always like to identify the situation because it makes things really hard. I consider this to be the twilight zone when the ball gets loose here, and remembering that team control, does it change, right? It's just a great example of a situation where we can lose track. Did team control change on this? If there was a foul during the period where the ball was, not in player control here, would we be shooting bonus free throws, etc.? In California, we have shot clocks. Are we resetting the shot clock because there was a change of possession, etc.? So you get like a 5-second interval where the ball is loose, there's chaos, and we can become disconnected. So I always like to identify these situations in-game video and recognize them for what they are. And we need to have the discipline of being aware that team control did not change on this play. That's the only thing about this play that has any interest at all. But again, when we have loose ball scenarios, we are prone to making mistakes about team control fouls or not being aware, etc. So we want to be able to identify those in our game. But we also want to identify in our game situations that lead to that, right? And so I call this Twilight Zone the Twilight Zone. I just refer to them, and whenever I see them, I like to identify them as such, and so that we can have a better understanding and more likely to get plays right going forward. This, let's say loop that. Did Greg just say this game was like the Love Boat? Maybe. Who on the crew is Captain Stubing and who's Gopher? Come on, we got to sort all that out. No, there was no call on this play. Oh, it was out of bounds, right? Twilight Zone. Is that an episode, Golden Earring? Right? So that's the reason I included this play, is just identifying those loose ball scenarios and keeping an understanding for both for clock purposes in states that have shot clocks, which there will be more in the near future in National Federation of High School, hopefully, and as well team control if a foul occurs during this interval. Pop band, Golden Earring. Not familiar. Let's go back. Okay, I have another play. I am on this game. Let's look at this next play. So we have a verticality play. If you're officiating the right things, this is an easy call, right? If we have picked up that secondary defender on the play in the lane, let's do this. Right? Easy, right? We got an open look on the play, easy play if we're officiating the right things. Got a player who extends, creates contact, and then, of course, does what all the players do. I was straight up. Coach, I was straight up. Right? So, obvious play, obvious foul, easy call. I included this play because this game was actually a really important game in my growth as a basketball official. This was my first NorCal playoff game. So this would be a state playoff game, first round, second round, something like that. And it was my first, and I completely gave myself over to the veteran partners on the game. The game goes on, and there was things in this game that I was not happy about the way that we officiated this game as a crew. But I'm like, well, I'm the junior guy, so I'm just going to, bite my lip, button up, right? But after this game was over, I realized that I needed to assert myself more in situations like this. Because what in the situation I'm describing is game, crew, you. I was allowing the crew to say, no, crew, and not the game would be the most important thing. So it left a taste in my mouth that I had to work to overcome. And I said, look, if the game needs me, I need to step out of a comfort zone and put the game first and fight for the game and be more active on that front. So I love seeing this clip. I just found it in the vault. Brings back memories of that because, this was, and ultimately we had one more game as a crew. And then it was the off season. And in the off season, I'm thinking long and hard about my role in the game and how I need to step up and be a better official. So that was fun. All right, go there. Tony, exactly. What did I do? Oh, do we have good reporting mechanics? Well, I think we may have had, right, so we have a couple of things. One is we got the chuck and then the player straight up, and then maybe we have a coach at the other end. He was straight up, etc. So when we get to the table, it's like, no, push. Yeah, big. Let's go big. W, exactly. Yeah, so the strategy for this smaller, less athletic team in this game, blue, and sort of the genesis of my unease at how we officiated the game was they were out to basically beat up the two best players on white. And this was a continuing theme in this game. Just continued, rough play, chucking, holding, bumping, etc., etc. EK wants to go upgrade. Definitely on the table, but it was not going to happen in this game. Exactly. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. It's, well, Billy Mack, maybe the defender moved forward, but that is not what is going on this play. The chuck into the chest of the airborne shooter may rise above any movement forward on this one. Darwin Sonata, channel supporter, Darwin Sonata. Excellent. Great to see you. Oh, okay. All right. I would call that, all right. Fair enough. Fair enough interpretation. All right, let's take a look at a bonus play. Right. So this is a coverage play, a discipline play, two-person game, and you're welcome. I'm not on the game. Block charge, secondary defender. Right? If we put it in those terms, block charge, secondary defender. Right? Whose call does this belong to? Lead. Do we have crew discipline on the play? No. Right? If we have a push from behind, from the trail official, that makes sense. But having a block, we have to go with the lead on this one, right? So just great discipline play. We are talking second half action. White is going to this basket. We would expect our crew to be settled, comfortable, working, rocking and rolling, everything good. Chris, yeah, let's do this. Yeah, it could easily have been a blarge, and the reason is the outside official goes quick, right? The lead goes slow. But here's the deal. We're going to have a whistle on this play. But if we build in a quick, responsive call from the outside on a player, when the lead should have the call, then we are definitely opening the door to a blarge on this play. Looks like... Don't know the situation in the game. Alfred Kennedy says, looks like it should have been a charge. Leads call, right? So I don't really, I'm not concentrating on the judgment on the play, whether it was block, charge. That's really not the key thing, the key takeaway here. The key takeaway is we need to have discipline as a crew, and we need to know how we're going to handle this kind of play. Is this a unique play? Like, oh my gosh, that play happened. I've never seen that. This is going to happen in your game, right? Drive to the basket, secondary defender. We need to have a strategy as a crew laid out with the mechanics as prescribed, the mechanics, how we want to deal with them tonight, how, our personal approach, etc., how we're going to handle these plays. Like the trail may say, look, once that primary defender is beat, I can pick up the secondary defender. I want them, right? And the lead might be, come on, man, that's my play, and what have you. Just stuff we need to work out. So block charge play, if we took a poll, it's probably going to be 50-50, something along those lines. That's not the key takeaway from the play. The key takeaway is we have to have discipline as a crew and work the system, trust our partner. W wants to go charge. Yeah, collegiate official, excellent collegiate official, Jason, on this game. He actually just officiated at the G League camp event in Chicago, I think, a few weeks ago. He was working one of the games, super exciting and great. He's a great official. fantastic official and good friend. And Paul, you're absolutely right. And so that's why we're bringing these plays to the table. It's a great play to discuss just because it has all the attributes of the seaside drive, right? Primary defender, secondary defender. How are we going to handle obvious foul? This play obviously needs a whistle, okay? If we have this play and neither official has a whistle, I'll tell you what, let's just put a whistle in the game. You know, at least we have a 50-50 chance of getting it right. But this play needs a whistle. So we can talk about plays that need whistles. When plays need whistles, anybody on the crew can come get it. When a play needs a whistle, unless they're absolutely, you know, a mile away or impossible to make the call. And then we just have to own that, right? So all of these plays just are great conversation starters and things we need to, I need to add that to the pregame. So we've had gray area coverage brought up earlier. We've had secondary defender. We have hand checking, consistency, how we're going to handle as a crew. When plays need a whistle, how we're going to handle as a crew as well. And this just like basically outlines a pregame discussion. W, I agree. It is a much tougher call for the official at trail. Great example of crew discipline. Oh, anyway, so Jason on the play is a collegiate official. So his habitual movement is not putting that fist up. And I don't think that's required in NCAA men. I agree. Trail was not in great position here to make this call accurately. Randy, I got you. If you were a newer official, they may think the call of there is theirs. Right, exactly. That's a great point. It's just like, well, this is in a certain area of the court, so it's my call, right? But if we truly understand the mechanics system we're working, if we truly understand two-person mechanics or three-person mechanics, then we know who is responsible for whom, right? I will officiate these players, you officiate those players. That's our game plan and our strategy, right? So an understanding of the system is an important part for new officials. I understand the system in principle. I have a really good understanding. But then I go out and I work with official one, and well, that kind of gets thrown out the window. I mean, he's doing this, that, and the other thing. And then I work with official two, and again, there's inconsistency, etc. So one thing you learn as a new official is, okay, here's the officiating system, 3-person, 2-person, and then here's how people officiate. And those two don't necessarily jibe. And so again, what are we going to do? How are we going to officiate the game tonight and be successful doing it? And how can I influence others to be better so that we can have a better game? Great points. Great points. Jason is a top official and not, I don't know where this was in his career. No, we all make mistakes and we have to identify them as such, right? Have to identify them as such. In a 3-person crew, we'd be looking at a center side drive. So that was our previous play, or a couple of plays ago. But we have to identify who is officiating the defender who's attempting to take the charge. Who has primary responsibility for that player? That's the key question. They have first crack. If there's no call, and this was a 3-person game, and the trail is where the camera is, it's like, you don't know? No? Boom. Foul. That's a charge, or that's a block. We need a whistle on the play. We have that commitment as a crew. Awesome. Great discussion, guys. How about another play? Let's see if we can get out of here.
Another ticket to be purchased tonight. Here in Anaheim at the Honda Center, the Big West Championship game between Hawaii, the regular season champ, and Long Beach State. 5-4 in the early going, Hawaii on top, and we got a foul on the inbounds pass on Long Beach State. And
all right. So inbound play, first foul, no call. Secondary stuff, the official gets the second foul, right? So it's a great point that we need to get the first one. The first action, the displacement where he drives the player off the floor. Now, I'm not an NCAA men's official. I don't know what is considered. I would not think there's any way to justify this not being a foul. So we'd say, well, what was the center official looking at? Let's take a look with head position. Looks like he's looking right at it. Right, so we got a little double clutch. Sees that, responds to it, and then the second one, right? So appears to have let the first one go. I don't know what the guidelines are for NCAA men. That seems like an obvious displacement situation, but these are big players, strong players, and in this league, that may be an acceptable thing. But it would appear that we have this missing of a first foul and then putting a whistle on a second foul. You think he was? It appeared his head was turning that way. He may have been looking through at the thrower and missing that. Yeah, I mean, maybe there was just distraction on the first action, missed it. May have known he missed something, but, you know, the water is under the bridge. Let's see. If we go back, but we, you know, all right, we've made a mistake, but what do we do next? We can't allow the player in black to take repeated, you know, hacks at the tree. You know, he lets the first one go right here, but you see the flinch, like we got to put a whistle on that. And then the second one, when it's becoming more, you know, more egregious. So it's just a situation where we potentially have missed something. We have to put a whistle on a play. We're kind of in not a great spot. The official may go to the coach and say, "You're absolutely right, coach. I did not see that initial action," right? But it is what it is. But we can't have a retaliatory action again and again by a player, right? We need to own up, fess up. I made a mistake, but we're going to put a whistle on that play, and we're going to settle things down and keep the game going. Let's see if he was watching the screening action on this play. Right, so the trail would have action up here, but there's nothing going on up there. We do have 11. Is 11 being held here? When he bounces off the screen, what's he going to do? Go up for a elevator play or something? No. So it is what it is. We might have missed that. It is what it is. We might have missed that. But we're moving forward. And you just got to own it. Billy, you are right. Two wrongs do not make a right, and two rights did make an airplane. No comments about whether or not you may have been there for the flight. No comments at all. All right. Okay, how about one more play and we're out of here? Screening action. No, we are out of here. Okay. I am going to put a bow on this baby. Give me just a second. Let's do all the things. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. Much appreciated. Now would be a great time, if you haven't, to do all the things. I mean it, to do all the things like subscribe, notify, and share the video with other basketball officials who could find value so that we can all get better together. Have to, as always, thank our fantastic and phenomenal channel supporters, Adam Fulmore, John Terzer, Darwin Sonata, Wezata Results, and Chris Hirano. Much appreciated and much love. You want to support the show? You can always buy us a coffee. There will be a link above and in the show notes below. All right, we have additional video content for you here. We have additional video content for you here. I have selected this video. YouTube has selected this video. You make your choice. Choose wisely. And we'll see you in the very next video. Take care. I don't know how I screwed that up. I've done that like 100 times in my video creation career. Philharmonic did not make an appearance. Did not make an appearance. Thank you, Tony. Thanks for joining in. So I'd say our takeaways today are, pre-game discussion items that we can do, play scenarios that we could talk about that lead to discussion of larger issues of trust, coverage, discipline, and all the things. Again, we've looked at game video and we've extracted positives and negatives, right? We've had a block charge play where I think it's a block, I think it's a charge. When we break down and analyze our game video, we can't be as focused necessarily in the judgment calls. We want to get plays right. I do now. I called that a block. I think it was a charge and what have you. But what are the things that affect that outcome, right? Our position, our transferring of our eyes when appropriate, our officiating of the proper players and plays. If we have those disciplines and those habits, we're going to be better as basketball officials. We can see where we may have been weak and put that on the list. Okay, action plan for the next 5 games, 10 games, or whatever. I'm going to focus on as lead, being wider, shoulder open, transferring eyes, negotiating gray area plays with my partner, etc. Right? That's actually a big thing in 2-person. So that we can get better, right? We identify areas where we're strong, and we have to celebrate those. It's like, damn, I nailed that. I was in great position. I had a great reaction to the play, a great position adjust. I anticipated I was in position. These are good. I'm succeeding. I'm succeeding. I'm succeeding. And then on the other side of the ledger, in this situation, I took my eye off the players to go look at the ball. In this situation, I stayed with a play too long. I should have released it to my partner, etc. Right? I've identified areas that I need to improve. And then we work on those. We get better. Maybe we can move that from a week later, we can move that to the other side of the ledger and say, I did a great job negotiating that, etc. And then we get better as basketball officials, and that is really what it's all about. Fantastic. My crew. Danny is in the house with a thank you, Greg. Thank you for joining, Danny, and putting your opinions about plays. Like, that's a shitty call. That's a great call. I don't, put your voice in the game and have an opinion, man. Awesome. Productive. I love looking at video. I love looking at video and yammering about it, and we just talk about discipline, etc. That's very good to hear, Chris. I appreciate it. Darwin, show supporter. Darwin Sonata, and I properly spelled Sonata. I apologize for that faux pas before. Officiate the players, that you are responsible for, and know which players you are responsible for. That obviously comes first. That's the cart before the horse, is understanding the system and knowing which players we're supposed to be officiating. And then we could be great. All right. Thanks, Jason. Would really appreciate it. we are working hard, diet and exercise. It's a simple formula. Unfortunately, the current iteration of Greg, not quite the iteration that we saw on film today, but we're working hard to get there. Thank you, Tony, for joining in. Al, awesome. Trey, thank you so much. Appreciate everybody joining. And with that, I am going to wrap it up. I appreciate everybody's contribution today. And as always, you know you can make it a great day. Do something for somebody else that they couldn't possibly repay you for. And you know you'll make it a great day. Take care.